Hey guys, welcome back to my weekly videos. Okay, so for this video for today, I want to share with you guys the power of words. I have mentioned this many times, but this is something that sometimes we need to hear over and over again. Or I also think this is something that we will hear and then because we're all smart people, we comprehend it, we know what it means, but then we end up just throwing it out when it actually comes to applying it. And so this video is not about affirmations. Affirmations meaning that you're getting like a piece of paper and you're writing out blessings about yourself and then reading those, which I am all about declarations and affirmations. But it's not just about that. It's about the way that we speak in our everyday lives, the way we speak about ourselves, our circumstances, and other people, which I find is we often forget when it actually comes to that. So we can be like all into the affirmations and declarations and have our time of reading it out there, and then we put that to the side and we carry on with our normal everyday lives, and then our language is just like. So I'm going to start by reading something to you guys from this cute little book, which is where I got the title for this video. How You Call It Is How It Will Be. And this is by Kenneth Copeland. It's only 20 pages. So I have something highlighted here that I wanted to read to you guys. Then I'll explain. So, like it or not, this is a word-created, word-controlled universe. God established it that way from the very beginning. He made everything by calling things which be not as though they were, which is Romans 4:17. He set this whole system in motion by speaking into the darkness and saying, "Light be," and light was. The whole Bible from Genesis to Revelation makes it clear that we live under a word-activated system. It's always been that way and it always will be. We can't change that fact. We can, however, choose the words under which we live. We can change our environment by what we say. So this might sound familiar to a lot of people because the way that I guess people speak in everyday life, I don't really know what to call it, society, not sure, but the way that people say like, oh, just speak it into the universe and the universe will hear you and it will manifest and that type of thing. For me, for my beliefs, I don't personally believe in praying to the universe. I believe that there is a God that created this universe and that he has set in universal laws that whether we believe or not, none of us are exempt from. So for an example, another one of those universal laws would be something like reaping what we sow, which that term, you reap what you sow, a lot of people don't know that that actually comes from the Bible. And some people, not people that actually practice this, but just the way that people speak in everyday life may equate that to the way that they reference to karma. So what I'm trying to say is that whether we agree with this or not, we can't escape from the fact that the way that we call it is how it will be. For people that like to hear that science backs this up as well, there are lots of studies done. One particularly that they did on water droplets that was done in Japan, where they basically took these water droplets and one of them they spoke negatively to, and then one of them they spoke positively to, and then the crystals that received that attention, or the water droplets that received that attention, formed these beautiful crystals. And again, they've done this study with plants before and in a bunch of different ways. You can look up these studies, you can Google them. Okay, so what I'm talking about in our everyday lives, because again, I hear this all the time and I'm sure that you do too, and I also do it a lot, and it's like a constant reminder for me to be like, stop speaking like that. So this can be things like the way that people say, with my luck, this is what would happen to me.
I'm so clumsy, I would probably end up dropping that all over myself.
I always end up losing my job. I always attract really crappy boyfriends. My girlfriends always cheat on me.
My life has and will always be this way.
This person always annoys me. I hate these types of people. No matter how early I leave, I'm always late. I always get stuck in traffic. There's always something that distracts me. There's always something that prevents me from getting this done. These might not even seem like negative words. These might even just seem like truths, because a lot of people might say, well, I'm a realist and I am just being logical and I'm just stating what is actually true. But he actually references to that in this book when he's talking about the people that say, well, I just call it as it is. I seriously cannot stress enough that the more that we focus on those things, the more that they are going to come into our lives, no matter how much we can justify and say, But it's true. It is how it's always happened. And honestly, I believe that. I do believe that. I have been there myself before, where I would continue to repeat the same patterns. But again, how we call it is how it will be. The more that we speak and we confess those things, we are coming into agreement and we are owning those things. It's the same with diagnoses. It's the same with sicknesses. If I just continue to repeat, if I am believing for healing for something, like let's just say, I'm going to use osteoporosis because I read this reference in one of the books recently. But if I was believing for healing, but I just kept stating, oh, my osteoporosis is always acting up. My I'm owning that I do have that. I am claiming it, as opposed to claiming my healing. I'm also not saying that changing our language is the only thing that we're supposed to do, because we can claim certain things, like we can claim that we are financially free, but if we never actually take any steps towards that in becoming responsible or working on addressing the root of where that's actually coming from, like our beliefs about money or resentment regarding money or unforgiveness or those types of things. So I'm not claiming that that is the only way, but it is a behavior modification that is extremely important, because at the same time, we can be taking action and we can be working on ourselves, on inner healing. But then if we keep speaking these negative things, then we continue to come into agreement with it. And it is continuing to believe those things even when our circumstances haven't changed yet. Because faith is things hoped for but not seen. I am believing for certain things that if someone were to be in my position and they were to look at it practically and in the natural, they would say, that doesn't make sense for that to happen. But yet I know that God works out all things for good. And I know that He came through the last time and the last time and the last time. And I know that He is going to come through again. So just to share a quick example with you guys, about 2 months ago when this whole lockdown started with COVID and a bunch of my jobs were canceled, and then on top of that, I got super sick for about 12 days. There are so many reasons why in that situation I would be able to say, I can't pay my bills. Now I'm not going to be able to pay that off. Now I'm not going to be able to go on my vacation. How am I supposed to do anything when all my jobs were canceled? How am I supposed to do anything when I'm this sick? There are so many reasons why I could buy into the fear from the media. There's so many reasons why I could say, this sucks, we're not going to get out of here anytime soon. I'm not going to be able to pay this, that, whatever. But, and I'm not saying that this is easy, because this is something that has taken practice, and more importantly, it's been my practice in my faith of knowing God's character, that He is going to come through, and leaning and relying on Him. So I'm not saying that this is something that you just wake up and have that type of faith, but instead during that time, again, I'm seeing, okay, my jobs were canceled. I might have not seen this coming. God did see this coming. And so there is going to be a way that's provided for my finances during this time, even though my jobs were canceled. So instead of me speaking and declaring and saying, this sucks, I'm going to go into debt and all these things, I am believing and I am declaring otherwise. So there's 2 more scriptures that I wanted to share with you guys that really just brings into perspective the power of words, I think. And this is James 3:5-6. And it says, it only takes a spark, remember, to set off a forest fire. A careless or wrongly placed word out of your mouth can do that. By our speech, we can ruin the world, turn harmony to chaos, throw mud on a reputation, send the whole world up in smoke and go up in smoke with it. And lastly, what I wanted to read from an article that's referencing to a verse is Proverbs 18:21 puts it this way. The tongue has the power of life and death. The stakes are high. Your words can either speak life or your words can speak death. Another thing I just thought of is actually someone in my family, I remember they said they heard this somewhere, that whenever you are about to make a statement, you have to be okay with ending it. And that's the way that I want it, essentially. So if I'm like, I have the worst luck ever and I never get any jobs that I apply for, and that's the way that I want it. I don't remember if that was the exact phrase, and that's the way I want it to be. Whatever, you guys get the picture, because once you state it like that, you're like, I don't want it to be that way. I know that it's hard, and I know that it's not going to be perfect, and I know that we're going to backslide and we're going to make these types of statements. But what I'm really trying to say is even just starting to be mindful of it, and then that way, like when we think that we're about to say something, it's better to just say nothing at all than to declare something negative. Now, I know that there are points where we have to be able to share with our friends and family about how we're actually feeling. And there are points that we have to be able to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling right now. This is what I'm going through. And just making sure that we're not making it a habit of actually speaking that way and declaring those things. And oftentimes, if I say something negative about my situation, I will actually catch myself and say, you know what? I rebuke that. I actually take that back and I don't agree with that. And then I will replace it with something nice, or I will just leave it. But yeah, I really just wanted to share that with you guys, that we really, really, really need to watch our words. We need to watch gossiping about other people. We need to watch the way we're talking about our circumstances, and we need to watch the way that we are talking about ourselves, because as we call it is how it will be. So that's it for this video today. If you would like to send this video to someone, you can definitely go ahead and do that. And I will see you guys next week. Mwah.